esteemed participants of ICMM 2000 to stand before you once again as your host, guiding us through another day of insightful discussions, engaging presentations, and meaningful conversations. Yesterday, we embarked on a journey of shared learning and collaboration, witnessing a wide spectrum of perspectives and ideas, and have already enriched our conference, including the panel discussion on the theme Transformative Pathways for MSMEs, Shaping the Future, followed by an insightful and thought-provoking session by Dr. Rekhi on Who's Running Your Life, You or Your Monkey Brain. Today, we continue this journey with renewed enthusiasm and a commitment for further exploration. Our agenda for Day 2 is filled with stimulating sessions, thought-provoking presentations, and opportunities for networking and knowledge exchange. We have esteemed speakers who will share their expertise on diverse topics, promising to broaden our understanding and inspire new avenues of thought. In addition to our intellectually stimulating conference agenda, I am delighted to share some exciting news. As part of our commitment for providing a holistic experience, we have organized a special trip to the iconic Atari Wagah border, a place steeped in history and significance. Following this, we invite you to join us for the gala dinner, where we can continue our conversations in a more relaxed and convivial settings. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with great pleasure that I stand before you today to announce the exciting content that awaits us during the International Conference on Management of MSMEs 2024. Our esteemed participants come not only from diverse corners of academia, but also from the dynamic world of industry. The academic success stories presented here will not only inspire, but also serve as beacons, guiding us towards a future shaped by knowledge, discovery, and enlightenment. The intertwining of academic and industrial success stories enriches our conference with a holistic perspective, offering a comprehensive view of the strides we have collectively made and the milestones that lie ahead. As we embark on this journey together, let us celebrate the achievements of the past, learn from the present, and envision a future where academia and industry continue to shape a world of endless possibilities. Moving on, I am delighted to introduce our first session for today, a profound exploration into the integrate-led landscape of academia's engagement with government initiatives. Today we have the privilege of learning from the expertise of Professor Kirti Sharma, an accomplished academician who is an associate professor at the prestigious MDI Gurgaon. Professor Kirti Sharma holds a PhD in Marketing and Services Management with emphasis on consumer perceptions and satisfaction. She has held various teaching and administrative responsibilities during her academic tenure. She is currently lead GP placements and faculty PGDM IB. She is having 21 years of rich teaching, training, research, and consulting experience in academia. She has worked for 4 years in industry before joining academics. Her research interests are consumer behavior, healthcare marketing, advertising, and technology in marketing. She has published numerous cases with IB Publishing and many research papers in ABDC Scopus listed journals. Some of her key achievements are: she has been nominated as a member of the National Committee for Marketing by Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Government of India. She has also been awarded the Recognition of Excellence, winner of Organizational Frontline Young Scholar at American Marketing Association Winter Academic Conference, Nashville, USA, 2023. She has also been awarded the Women Entrepreneur Village Industries, MSME, Government of India. She has been a member of Communication Committee of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India. She has also served as the jury member of NASSCOM Disruptive Pitch 2019. She has been a mentor at UINCEP Startup Incubator. I would now request Professor Kirti to kindly continue with the session.
Hi everyone, good morning, a very warm welcome. Is this better? So in fact it's a bit overwhelming for me to sit there and listen about myself. I'm not used to all this. So I'll start in fact from my journey, because when I was listening I suddenly realized that okay, I have really worked a lot in last, I would say 11 years at MDI. Believe me, it was not planned. So something which really works. So I know a lot of young scholars are sitting here. So I'll start my journey as a young scholar, and I'll take you through that journey, and I'm sure you will have a few takeaways during that journey, that how all of this happened. So I belong to Haryana, and I'm back in Haryana. I did all my education with Kurukshetra University. Not a great brand to start with, and believe me, at that point of time when I went to FMS to do my PhD, one of the big things, and somebody asked me, why FMS and why do you want a PhD from here? I said, I think Kurukshetra University is not that known. They said, you are wrong. And that was where I realized that sometimes it's not, maybe brand can give you a stepping stone in the beginning. But then how you take it forward in terms of using that stepping stone to shape your career and what you become and what you want to become and what kind of work you want to be known for. So that is where the key lies. And I did my PhD, so degree has been awarded from Kurukshetra University, so I remained there. And because in FMS the seat was not available with the guide I wanted to work with, and then he said, you'll waste 2 years in waiting, so you better start working, and he became my co-guide at FMS. So that's how my association with FMS started, and I learned a lot there. I started into education, and believe me, I'm a science graduate. I never wanted to become a teacher. So that was the first thing. So sometimes what you don't want to do in life would get you back there. I was a science graduate. I got admission in MCA, MSc Computer Science, because I did my BSc with physics, mathematics and computer science. I look young, I'm not all that young, so just for the record, I have a 22-year-old daughter who's doing medicine. So now, yeah, so if I would have asked you to imagine my age, I'm sure everybody would have got it wrong. So at that point of time, I graduated, I did my BSc in '96, and computer science was just coming up. So it was the hot field to be in. And I got admission in MSc Computer Science, MCA, MSc Physics, MSc Mathematics, and MBA. So I told my father I want to do MBA. He said, you are idiot. He's an engineer. And he said, you are idiot, everybody is going towards computer. I said, I can't sit in front of a computer and do coding throughout the day. He said, but this is where the money is. I said, this is not what I intend to do. And then he got really upset, he got angry. I took admission. So to this extent that he never came to my university to see a few of my achievements there. And I took admission, my mother came along. The only good thing was that I was supported by the family. Okay, whatever you want to do, you do. I did my MBA, joined corporate, worked for almost 4 years. And that was a time when I had my daughter. So I took a break. You get a maternity break. I was on that break, and on my way to the hospital for vaccination, there used to be this institute, Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Engineering and Management in New Delhi. And suddenly my husband said, you are on a break and I know you can't sit at home. So why don't you go and take some visiting sessions? Some of the patients come from this institute. You can go and drop your CV. I said, oh, this is a good idea. Because, yeah, knowing me, I can't sit at home. So I'm a workaholic by nature. So I went, I dropped my CV, and that's where the story of me as a professor started. So I went there, I took a couple of sessions, and then they said we have this new course which is MIS and ERP. And in those times, so I'm talking about 2000, beginning of 2001, not many people were well versed who had used MIS, ERP in their work and possibly trained in computer science. So getting that computer science and management kind of combination was difficult in academics, because most people who were trained in information systems would go for hefty packages. So they said, we have this subject and would you like to teach? I said, okay, and believe me, very less number of books were available to do that. I took it as a challenge and I started going there twice a week to take visiting sessions. I completed that course, feedback was good. And then there was a full-time position. They said, why don't you apply if you are interested? And then so by the time, I liked what I was doing, because of sheer thing that you are the master there, nobody will open their mouth till the time you allow them. So I said, this is a good profession. And of course, in a graduate college, the things were not the same. In a management institution, things were very different. And coming from corporate, where you always take instructions from your bosses, I said, this is a good area to do. And my husband was a surgeon, so there was no pressure to earn money. So I said, okay, I can take a pay cut, and this is a good way. And I realized with his kind of work profile, to bring up a daughter was a bit difficult. So I'm proud of the fact that I have brought my daughter solely without any support from either of the two systems of families, mother and mother-in-law. So I could do that because, one, academics gives you that kind of flexibility that you can actually decide how you plan your day, week, month and year. Which are the timings when you want to be really, really busy, and which are the timings when you really want to let your hair down and go easy. Which was not the option in corporate. So that was and once I got into corporate, then I realized, oh, there is something called as PhD. You need to do that. And I actually enrolled for a PhD after joining there as a junior lecturer and enrolled, and then that's the story. So you get into PhD, you learn a lot of things, and that's history. I got into MDI in 2012, and that was, so I had set a goal that before 40 I should be in one of the top 5 institutions. So by that time I was already going as a visiting trainer to IIM Lucknow, because I was able to develop a competency which was not available with IIM Lucknow. So that's one learning each one of us should have. Identify a competency, identify an area where not many people are available. So that was called as sales negotiation in those times. I came from a corporate background. So Professor Himanshu Rai used to teach negotiations there. He happens to be a close friend. We were doing PhD at the same time. We met in one of a conference like this, networked, and became lifelong friends. So he is now, everybody knows, I think he is the most popular LinkedIn faculty. Everybody follows him and knows what he is doing. So this is again one area where as academics, as researchers, you help each other. You become friends, you help each other. So he actually said, I do this training on negotiation, and when I get people, there are people from corporate who are from sales background, and I don't have any competency to do a workshop on sales negotiation. So that's where we built up a joint program. We started doing that. And that gave me, so I was really, really scared at that point of time. How can I? And I was teaching in Lal Bahadur Shastri Institute of Management at that time. Going from there to an IIM and teach and do a session was, believe me, I was really, really scared. And I went, I said, Himanshu, are you really sure I can do this? He said, yeah, I know you. You'll be able to do it. I said, I am not sure. He said, just be confident once you are on the other side. This is the area where you have done research. So that was my first learning. If you have done enough research in the area for which you are standing and speaking, when you are on the other side, irrespective of age, irrespective of status, irrespective of designation, you are the one who was master of that topic. And that first session, I had participants who were almost my father's age. There were general managers from nationalized banks, there were people from multiple government organizations who were very, very old, very experienced. But then I was confident they know the practice side. I know what can help them to do things better going forward. Because that was also the time when technology was coming up. People started expecting something like service. And we have seen all of this in last 20 years. The whole transformation of sectors like banking, sectors like insurance, where nothing like this existed at that point of time. And that whole incident and multiple sessions which I took there gave me a confidence that yeah, I can aspire to be a faculty in one of the top IIMs. So believe me, I never aspired before that. I had no wings to actually even think to fly. So that whole engagement gave me those wings. I decided that okay, now let me prepare and start using more of case study approach. So in LBS we used to get an opportunity that we could order 3 cases, unlike MDI and IIMs where you don't have any limit. So they could allow us 3 cases to be bought from Harvard and be used in the class. So I started using that and became one of the faculty who was using case study approach. So now a lot of people use, but in those times it was difficult. I started doing that, and in the process I was preparing myself to be in one of the top institutions. I joined MDI when I was 36. So in a way I said, okay, I have gained 4 years. So I have done this before the decided age. So I could devote these 4 years to build something which I have not done till now. And that was the journey to consulting. And my first introduction was, we got an email. So generally in IIMs and these kind of institutions, if there is any mail which comes to the consulting department or director, they would float that email to the whole group. Whoever wants to be part of this team can form a team and work. So we became a team and we were 10 people, 5 women faculty and 5 men faculty. Eventually when we started working on the request for proposal, 5 people walked out. Because the sample size of that first project which I did was, so this is the one which is mentioned at number 3, evaluation study of Prime Minister Employment Generation Program. So all of us know PMEGP is one of the key scheme of Ministry of Small and Medium Enterprises. And it was a national study. The sample size was 10,500 beneficiary units. And everybody said, this is undoable in 6 months, nobody can do this. So 5 people who were more experienced walked out. 2 of us who were absolutely zero experience remained there because sometimes ignorance is bliss. We had absolutely no idea कि भाई क्या करना है, कैसे करना है. चलो हम तो ये 3 senior लोग हैं, इनके साथ बैठ के काम कर रहे हैं. And we wanted to learn, so that was the whole agenda. And we started preparing for bid. And I remember at that point of time, the consulting department, even in one of the best institutions like MDI, was not the way it is now. So we have corrected it in last 7-8 years. And I had to actually go in the basement and find some files of old consulting assignments with government which people had done, because there was an experience requirement which was asked in the RFP and there was no digital record. So I went there, I used my phone, we clicked pictures, we created those documents, we then created Excel sheets. I remember, I think for next 3 days, we hardly slept for 2-3 hours. We left college at about 3:30 in the morning because I was not staying on campus, other people were staying on campus. And I couldn't say that because I'm not staying on campus, I would leave. Because one thing which I had learned, if you want to be in a team, You cannot give any excuse that you are a woman, you have a child to look after, you have a distance to travel or anything. Because my father told me, once you decide to be someplace and work, then never give this excuse and make anybody feel that you are a woman. You are a worker and then you work like a worker. So you are a team member, work like a team member, and gender should not play any role there. And that stuck to me. And I was there and suddenly the prof said, oh, you have to go to Delhi. I said, it's okay sir, I know how to drive. And it will be less traffic in the night, don't worry. So next 2-3 days we were on the toes. It was very less time. We made the proposal, we went, we submitted it exactly at the last minute. So it was 1 hour for the window to close. And in those times, this online GEM portal, all this did not exist. You had to go seal the envelope and then you have to submit it. So we submitted it, and next day they called us for opening of bid, and it used to be in the presence of some people, so 2 of us went. क्योंकि हम junior थे, सबसे ज़्यादा वेले दिख रहे थे, तो हमें भेज दिया गया. So we went there, we got the bid open, and also at that point of time, the bid was not purely on the way it is now, technical, and so most of the organizations now follow QCBS system, where there is a technical scoring and a financial scoring. So we'll talk a little bit about it later. But they opened the bid and we were the least in terms of financials. And then I realized we quoted something like 78 lakhs for that project. And the second lowest was 1 crore, 1 lakh something. And then I said we had a leverage to actually quote a little high. And then I came back and I asked to the prof, you know why? Because he didn't tell what he was quoting to the rest 4 of us. And then I asked him, you never discussed with us. He said, that's first learning. Whenever you are a project lead in any government project, do not discuss the financial bid with anyone. He said, in the past, there was this one bid which I lost just with a difference of 1,000 to IIM Lucknow. And then I could understand that maybe, you know, somebody leaked it or somebody talked about it or whatsoever, things move. They just reach out. So that was my second learning, that whenever you become a leader, you don't have to discuss finances and you take care of. But then there has to be some kind. He said we badly needed this project and I knew people will quote above 1 crore and I was just playing safe. So I worked out what would be our, and you all said you want to learn, you don't want to earn money. I said, yeah, so we don't want to earn money, we want to learn. I said, keeping that in mind, because this will put us back on the landscape. And till now, this is the project being completed in 2018 actually got MDI back on the consulting frame, on the consulting phase. Because till then, there was a gap of almost 3 years, and if this gap increases today to 5 years that you have not done any consulting project, you actually don't qualify for anything. But the good thing is, now DMU looks forward to more of academic consortiums, which means if you tie up with another academic institution, in technical bid you end up scoring more. Yeah. So we have recently submitted bids for 3 projects in DMU. One of them is for the LPG subsidy and the food bill, and we have actually tied up with this Guru Jambeshwar University, Hisar, because they have a food technology department and they have experts who work in food, and one of the requirement was that you need to have a food technology or agri expert. In MDI we couldn't find, so sometimes people who work in the area don't want to do consulting or don't want to do project. So we reached out and we got 2 professors who have worked in that field, and then we realized that the last date of the bid is kind of postponed, so we had another 10 days. And knowing very well that if you are tying up with somebody at an institution level, paperwork takes time. So best is, in an individual capacity, we tied up in the past. But in this case, we realized if we have a consortium, we'll gain more marks. And So we reached out, we sent the paper, and then it was finally signed by the chairperson of the department and then the vice chancellor, because now even vice chancellors are pretty young, and they are very dynamic and agile in terms of looking at these kind of opportunities. So we were lucky there and we could see. So coming back to this, the sample size was 10,500. Now we had to work backwards. There were 5 zones. There was a sampling technique which the ministry gave us. So we had absolutely no say in terms of that sampling, because they clearly said that we have these many beneficiaries which are more in south and northeast compared to the rest of the zones. So accordingly it was highlighted. We were 5 people, we divided zones and we continued the project. So one key learning in this project was you need to have a passion to talk to people. You need to be empathetic, because the moment you go and you are talking to a beneficiary, they feel कि आप ministry से आए हो, अब आप उनके लिए कुछ करो. Right? So be empathetic towards them. Don't give them many hopes, because sometimes when we do these evaluation studies, government takes steps, sometimes they don't. But in this project, luckily we had a minister who was Mr. Giriraj Singh. He was extremely agile. He clearly said, Professor Sharma, whatever you are writing in the report, don't listen to this JS and ये secretary जो बैठा है. ये आपको बैठा के report लिखवाएंगे, बिल्कुल इनके पास नहीं जाना. Write whatever is the reality and we will take it up. I want to, and a lot of things which we suggested there, then later on got implemented in Digital India, got implemented in Startup India, and we are very proud that we could contribute to that. If you open PMEGP portal now, it's all online. That was one of the key suggestions, that if you really want to remove red tapeism and the corruption which exists in this system all across states, you have to make it online. So believe me or not, today if any person who is applying through PMEGP, not knowing anyone, can actually go till the level of interview with the district collector. So that's the beauty of contributing in terms of nation development, because if as an academic you don't do that, I think doing research, doing anything will not make you happy. So once you see that, okay, I contributed towards this and this is implemented, it gives so much of, one, of course, confidence. It gives you so much of peace, and it gives you real happiness that you get up every day with that, confidence and that level of satisfaction that, okay, I'm contributing towards something for which I'm being educated or trained. So after that, of course, we did another study, PMEGP for Northeast, and for this there was no bid, because we had already done a larger study. They wanted to know a little more about Northeast estate, because Northeast was a little different and tricky for them in terms of policy making. They wanted to know more, and this was an invited bid. So they invited us and they asked us to put a proposal across. There was no competition and we were awarded the project. So sometimes and nowadays if you see, most of the governments and certain departments have a clear mandate that till almost 5 crore work they can do on the basis of invitation. Right? So there are some of these things, and once we are conscious and once we know where to find these links and these and connect with these people, that is where the whole key is. There is a very interesting story of these 3 projects which are mentioned at 5, 6 and 7, and if you see the dates, this coincide with the COVID. So we were working from home. I got an email from Ministry of Water Resources, and it was about the management of these 3 key schemes. They wanted an evaluation study being done. I said, but you always work with IIT Roorkee, because IIT Roorkee has a large water department. They said, yeah, they do all technical work. This is not technical. We have understood. We gave something regarding management. They were not able to deliver. So they are experts in the technical side of water. We want somebody with water management. I said, we have never worked in water. We have no expertise of water. They said, but you are experts of management. So that was what they said. They said, being from Management Development Institute, you are experts in management. And that kind of stuck in my head. Okay, this is new learning. We are experts in management. So anywhere in the government where the word management or evaluation comes in, we should pitch it. So that was another learning during that meeting. And we applied for these bids. It was COVID. We were not allowed to move out, to the extent that to cross the border from Delhi to come to campus, I had to get a pass from the DC. And I got a pass done for one of the consulting staff as well, because we wanted a couple of documents. Now we have to prepare a bid. Everything was hard copy. Post-COVID, people have done a lot of digitization, but till then it wasn't. And we sat. So of course we were scared because nobody knew how COVID is going to pan out at that point of time. We were sitting in a large room. I invited two of my colleagues. I felt that maybe they'll be interested to do a project and they'll be happy to contribute. So we sat there. Luckily, both of them were from campus. We sat in a room with distance, and we sat till about 8 that evening, worked, discussed, and then next 2 days we spent to get somebody as a water expert, because someone who had worked on water was busy in MDI and refused to be a part of that. Then we reached out to another prof who was friend of my prof. So please, network does help. So a lot of people might say कि नहीं, हम अपना research करते हैं, अपने घर में बैठ कर करते हैं, institute में बैठ के करते हैं, social media का कोई role नहीं है. I used to believe in this at one point of time, but then I realized it's very important to put it out what you are doing, to put it out, because then people get connected with you, and this network becomes your net worth as an academic. If you are connected with people, you don't know where you might come across. So we actually didn't meet this prof till the end of the project, and we had all meetings online. We got him on board as a water expert. We bidded, so we were, and of course there was a financial bid. So we were hopeful कि 3 के लिए bid किया है तो 1 मिल जाएगा और ये वाला मिल जाएगा, तो will be like financially viable. And luckily when they were announcing, it was an online bid opening, and they announced and we were like, okay, we got one. Then karte we got second, and then we got third. And in this one there was good competition. There were people from management department of IIT Trichy, IIMs, all of that. So there were a lot of IITs and IIMs involved. So almost between good 11, 12 organizations, we got that bid. And we traveled on a government. So when we traveled, almost we were the only people on the flight. Some places, when we went, it was all government provided vehicle with a pass, with entry. So all of that happened during that time. So during COVID, we traveled. During COVID, we completed this project because they also realized that this is the best time. You can actually go, travel, meet everybody in the department, people will be available, and then complete this. So we were able to complete this project. I personally traveled a lot, learned a lot about rivers, about states, and about water. So this was another takeaway for me. If you want to get into an area about which you know nothing about, best way is take a consulting assignment. It will give you an opportunity where you don't have to spend to learn. You learn in the process. So there are experts who think that, okay, you are going to evaluate them, and they give you all the gyan. You don't have to pay anyone to take a one-to-one class, and there are people who tell you everything. So this was an amazing learning journey between, so we were 5 people in this project. 2 were from economics department, 1 from strategy, 1 from corporate law, and I was from marketing. So of course, without marketing, you can't run any scheme. Very important how you communicate about the scheme. So always have a marketing person on your so yeah. These are my current engagements with the government. The recent one is PM Vishwakarma, and believe me, this is an outcome of all the previous work. So a lot of time I would hear academics saying कि जब तक हमें ज्ञान देने का या एडवाइस देने का पैसा नहीं मिलता हम तब तक कुछ नहीं करते. So in fact in MDI we have a point system and it actually corrupts academics. Sorry to say this. So everybody says we don't do any pointless activity. So which means an activity which is not converging into points and then eventually into money, people don't do that. When we did PMEGP, the implementing agency for Prime Minister Employment Generation Program is Khadi and Village Industries Commission. So just I'll give you a brief because all of you come from different states. In every state you have KVIB, which is called Khadi and Village Industries Board. And this board is responsible for a lot of schemes and activities. They are always on a lookout for somebody who can do some work, some research, some kind of consulting for them. They don't know how to connect because they have so much of pressure to implement these schemes. But if they get hold of one or two people, you become a go-to person for everything. So eventually, out of the 5 people who were involved in that large national study, I was second youngest. There was another younger faculty than me from information management. But I don't know, maybe because of networking or whatever, I started receiving calls from them. And the first call I received from the Deputy Director of KVIC, he said, we have to plan for 2025 Khadi vision. And for that, we want to do a workshop of all KVIC directors and KVIB board directors. So there are CEOs and directors. He said, we want to invite all. I said, how many are these going to be? He said, maybe 110 people from all over India. And if you see, KVIB boards are headed, the CEOs are primarily IAS officers or the state officers. So they are either an IAS or a state. For example, in Haryana, it could be an HCS or an IAS. Yeah? So which means these are people who are difficult to be dealt with. And he said all of these are going to be there. करने को मैडम हम मेरिडियन में भी कर सकते हैं, यहाँ भी कर सकते हैं, एक रिजॉर्ट लेके कर सकते हैं, बट खादी है, गांधी जी की संस्था है, अगर हम इस तरह से करेंगे तो वो बहुत ही ना मीडिया में नेगेटिव न्यूज़ आ जाएगा. I said अच्छा. तो कहते MDI में करेंगे तो कोई कुछ बोलेगा नहीं, तो इसीलिए हमारा एकदम से नेचुरल हमें लगा कि MDI में कर सकता है. I said ठीक है. And again, at that point of time, Giriraj ji was the minister. The only problem which happened at that point of time, we had a concurrent HR conference which was going on, and director refused to give us the auditorium. So I said, nothing doing, हम बिना ऑडी के करेंगे. So there is this almost इससे थोड़ा छोटा room होगा. So we have this training room. I went to the training room and I asked 2-3 people from the MDP office to come and start putting tables and chairs. And we did, after almost 1 hour exercise, we did make a plan that how are we planning to make 110 people sit in that room, including the minister, joint secretary, secretary. So we were able to successfully hold that conference in that room, and it became a news in MDI, of course. So this was also a news. The project which is mentioned at number 1, because this is the costliest project so far. This was 1 crore 10 lakh. Until that time in MDI, nobody had done a consulting of 1 crore. ठीक है, उसमें बहुत सारा खर्चा होता है, हमें कम मिलता है, but बोलने में तो अच्छा लगता है ना, 1 crore plus kind of consulting. So it became a news. It spread like fire. Everybody was like congratulating in this, and you kind of enjoy that attention. कि आप नहीं बोलते, आपका काम बोलना चाहिए. So that's extremely important as a young faculty, that what you do creates some kind of buzz and some kind of news. Yeah, so this is a project which we did with the Department of Urban Local Bodies of Haryana, and this gave an opportunity to us to know almost everybody in Haryana who's a DC, an ACS, Additional Chief Secretary to Secretary level, everybody we met. It was again a huge project. We visited almost 50 different cities, including the 22 districts in Haryana. And this is where I learned that photography can be a great evidence to research. And the books we created have almost become a source for, because it covers history, it covers religion, it covers the core soul of that city. Key people, achievements, everything. And it has 70% photographs and only 30% text, which was very difficult because as academics, we are trained to write more. And here, we have to bring a story to life, and the narrative was to be through a photograph. So luckily, between a team of 3, we had, so I, of course, when I bidded for this project, I wanted a team. You can't work alone. It becomes difficult because at any point of time, anybody in his or her life can have an emergency. So it's always a good idea. You work with people you can trust and you can rely on. So there is another prof who's a passionate photographer. So if you search maybe in MDI, you'll be able to pinpoint who's this. And he does a lot of bird photography. So I spoke to him, I said, okay, तुम्हारे पसंद का एक काम है, ऐसे ऐसे है, so you'll do it. He said, yeah, this will be nice. Camera खरीदने को मिलेगा? I said, camera खरीदने को तो नहीं मिलेगा, but इतना पैसा मिलेगा कि you can actually own a camera rather than, because if you buy any asset in a project, that becomes a property of the institute. So till date, I have done so many projects. I have not bought a single asset for the institute because I believe whatever you are buying, you use, and then you use it for lifetime. So you spend your own money. So we do that calculation कि भाई इतना पैसा हमें consulting से मिलेगा, उसमें से इतना personal level पे अगर लगा भी लेंगे तो it's not a big deal. It's like an investment for future. So he said, हाँ, अगर मेरी जेब से नहीं लग रहा और कैमरा ऑन करने को मिलेगा तो good. So that's how he came on board. And then we had a very senior faculty who was almost about to retire, and he was like a father figure because we thought we too are young and we have to meet a lot of bureaucrats. So we need a senior person to talk to them and show. So we needed some grey hair, and that's how we got him on board. And he was more like a father to us, both of us. And he said, कि मेरे को, you keep my share as the lowest. I said, no, sir, nothing doing. So, but it was huge learning because we learned a lot during those interactions from this senior prof as well. Because when he was talking, we realized, okay, when you are meeting somebody like this, these are the multiple ways you talk. So yeah, so each of these projects has actually contributed something or the other. So when we did this whole Manthan, which was a 5-year plan for Khadi and Village Industries Commission, it actually helped us to connect with the central ministry and everybody who's the who and whom in MSME. So Prime Minister announced this Vishwakarma scheme on 15th August from the Red Fort 2023. And I was reading about it. And suddenly after 3 days, I got a call from the Deputy Director KVIC कि मैडम ये स्कीम हम लोगों ने अनाउंस किया है तो उसका पूरा we have to make the blueprint. I was like, what? He said, हाँ वो Prime Minister जी ने अनाउंस तो कर दिया है, वो आइडिया आया था 2 दिन पहले ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग चल रहा था, आइडिया आया, अनाउंसमेंट हो गई, अब उसका पूरा ब्लूप्रिंट बना. So there was on paper, no committee, nothing. We started working. We brainstormed for almost 1.5 months in the next, the rest of the August, September till first week of October. And then we created the whole blueprint. If you go online and you check, there is still a lot for everybody to do and research because the scheme is about 18 categories of artisans where there is opportunity for everyone to do something. So there is an IT intervention, there is an intervention where ONDC is coming on board. and suddenly now Rights is talking to me to bring Indian Post on board. So we had this talk, somebody was visiting from Rights, and then we met, okay, oh, you are on this committee. So we wanted to meet you and talk to you because we want India Post to come on board for the distribution of these products. Because you make products, so an artisan is an artist who knows how to do his work. The only problem why these arts are dying in India is that they are not able to sell and market them. So they clearly said that we can create a network, a platform through India Post, and ONDC is working to create the, it's like an Amazon kind of platform for which ONDC is working. So a couple of MDI students are working on that project. So it gives them an opportunity to work on a live project with ONDC and all of that. So this is how sometimes it's free service. I don't get paid for that until unless there is a meeting. They pay a very customary fee, which is I think some 4,000-5,000. It comes to your account. They send a car and that is it. So nothing in terms of monetary, but imagine sky is the limit if you really want to take leverage from all of these. I almost became an expert how to do an RFP. So somebody says कि ये RFP आया है, हमको इसमें apply करना है, आप बैठ के बता दो इसमें करना कैसे. So now we have created a SOP. Consulting department gives us some of the things. So imagine in those times when we had applied for the initial projects, even if you have to submit the PAN card of the institute, I was running after accounts कि boss ये दे दो और इसकी photocopy कर दो, society के papers चाहिए MDI के, वो दे दीजिए, audited statement चाहिए, so उसके लिए 10 बार phone करना पड़ता था, literally गिड़गिड़ाना पड़ता था. Now all of that is history, it's past. I put an email and now everything is in place. So again, you can't be scared of and you can't expect that everything will be served on plate. You have to work hard, you have to dirty your hands, and then only these things can be, So all of us know that universities could be, so in fact for this project as well, the coffee table book project, when we were talking to the chief secretary, he said, you cannot imagine, we wrote to all the institutions and universities in Haryana. We got 0 response. So I am sure your institutions are definitely getting a lot of these requests from multiple departments, because department wale ko to koi chahiye kaam karne ke liye. They are on a lookout. But imagine how much time do we get in our daily routines to connect with anybody outside. We get into that rut. Classes hai, research hai, project hai, assessment hai, paper checking hai, and then dissertation, guide, this, that. We don't have time. Similarly, how do you expect somebody in the ministry or a department to look for an academic? But once they find one person, this person becomes the go-to person. So you have to just make that effort, make that investment for the first, I guess, 2-3 years to get to become that go-to person. And never get disheartened कि मुझे institute से ये मिलना चाहिए. The very brand name, the platform which an institution gives you is more than sufficient. जो infrastructure है उसमें आप काम चलाइए, बाहर वालों को भी पता है कि academic है. Another good thing, if a secretary or a minister is coming to an academic institution, they are not expecting a hotel kind of service. तो उनको बोलो सर, educational institution है, संस्था है, ये ऐसे ही मिलता है, यहाँ पे यही चलता है. People will not raise eyebrows. So that's where, but the only thing which is expected from an academic is a commitment to do that. So yeah, I've talked about khadi, I've talked about coffee table books. Now, 2 things more, how I fit into this advisory role. Believe me, I never thought I will become this. I've just become this because you are there and you are consistently being available. To this extent that my daughter was visiting for a week, we were in Jaipur, and then there was this online meeting. I am sitting in a place where everybody is shopping. They both were shopping and I said, I have to take this call. I am sitting in one corner, of course, now Zoom gives you that opportunity. You can change your background and everything. So I'm sitting there, still connected in that meeting. It would have been easy. I could have said, I'm traveling, I'm not available. And believe me, a lot of time we do that. But for government, secretary ने अगर time दिया है किसी meeting के लिए, to get that time again for that department head is very difficult. So you have to be available at that time. If there is any issue, like if you tell them that I'll not be available in person or I'll join online, all of that is fine with them. How to secure these opportunities? Yes. Put your research out, whatever you have done, that helps. Put out the post, tell your institution to put it out. So this time earlier when I became member of this MOSPI, which is Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and I'm sure all of you have seen those ads on TV and radio. So that's an outcome of that committee. Because before that, if the ministry was reaching out to households, people will not disclose their income. They'll think that somebody from income tax will raid. But now people have started doing that because MOSPI is a repository, is like a research agency for all the ministries for policy making. So this data is extremely important. And there were people from economics area, there were people from Delhi University, JNU on that committee. But of course, once you are from advertising side, it becomes your duty to tell them कि boss, mass media में जब तक advertise नहीं करोगे, आप ये confidence नहीं दोगे कि आपके यहाँ कोई इस तरह का आई कार्ड लेके बंदा आएगा, तो उसको दो information so that आपके लिए कल हम सब्सिडी लेके आ सकें, आपके लिए हम क्या-क्या पॉलिसी बना सकें. So that was the kind of brief which we gave and we worked with in that committee. So once you start doing that, it's more like on-the-job training. The more you work, the more you get engaged, the more opportunities you get, because then people know, okay, these are the names, these are always available, and then they start to reach you out more. So you become go-to person for many people, and we all know that IAS keep getting transferred. So somebody who was in ministry A goes to ministry B, and your name goes with him. And then they say, अच्छा ये वाला काम है, वो एक मैडम है वहाँ पे, वो एक सर है, उनको वहाँ IIM में, MDI में, IIT में आप contact कर लो, उनसे बात कर लो, मेरा नाम ले दो, they will understand. So that's how you have to build up on a continuous basis your network. You put out what you are doing academically, even small training programs. If you are doing where you are talking about, let's say, how to build up reputation for government agencies, or look at what are the key challenge areas for them at this point of time. And if you can develop something around it in your own domains, that is the key. So your research, your training and consulting, these are all related. Somebody says a professor's job is primarily to teach and research. I don't agree, because these are all interrelated. The moment you are doing consulting, you have more live people and a right problem to actually bring to your research. You don't have to find a research problem in published journals. You get to know a live research one, and imagine everybody would like to publish that work. Then you don't have to search for a journal where to publish. So all of this work. So I think I'll take a pause here. I would be happy to answer any question. Even if it is specific question to me, I'll be very happy to engage. Yeah. Yes, please.
In our institution, we have got a grant from ICCSR. We have got the grant from ICCSR.
Indian Council for Social Science Research, yes.
So, Samar, how do an individual who's getting a grant can make out something from that? Because they ask for bills and everything. So there is no scope for the institution also and for the individual also to gain something from that in a monetary terms. So they can throw some light on that.
So these kind of grants, I would say, so I have personally not applied for an ICSSR grant till date. Even having the fact that the regional director was one of my teachers for Haryana UP in this belt, Professor Sanjay Kaushik from Punjab University, Chandigarh. And And so one of the areas where you can look at is you get paid to travel, use the whole budget. I've seen people don't know how to use the budget. They require bill. I'm telling you, people don't know how to use budget. उनको लगता है asset खरीदेंगे उसी में use होगा. Travel extensively, cap it up with your own research area. So when you are going and meeting these people, identify an area where you can collect data for your research simultaneously. And for your research then, you don't have to travel and pay and spend your own money. I have personally done that. Whenever I'm traveling, I try to collect as much data, as much information in those cities, from those beneficiaries as much as possible. So it becomes, and very important that you spend whatever is given, because later on, if you do not spend the whole amount, the ministry will not give you the same budget as well. So going forward, they see to it that have you utilized whole of the budget. Of course, you can't keep fee for yourself, but you can always keep fee to conduct panels, to go out, collect data, to hire an agency to help you in setting up, let's say, an FGD or an interview panel, all those things. So spend money in that. Yeah, please.
How we can get approach of as a beginner?
So as a beginner, there are some of these websites. So one would be, look at the e-portal for projects, which is very specific to each state. So I have a couple of links. I'll share it with Professor Vartika. She can share it on the group. So for example, in Punjab, there is a separate portal. For Haryana, there is a separate portal. And for central ministries, there is a GEM portal. So you can actually go, or you can make, if you have a consulting department, tell the person who is responsible to continuously search with terms like management, evaluation, research, all these, so multiple keywords, and then you may find some of the projects which are coming, apply, get into the RFP. If you find that you are not qualifying as per the qualifying criteria, then have a tie-up with somebody who's qualifying. Because then the consortium, one, you get more marks as a consortium, because going forward, Niti Aayog has put it as one of the mandatory requirements, that if you are not a very large organization with, let's say, 100 people who are faculties, then have a consortium, draw experts from multiple academic fields. So if it is an academic consortium, you get more points. So like that, and of course 2 agencies are there who are involved, your combined worth in terms of what they require as a background, that the earning, the revenue should be X amount, all of that will qualify. So that's the first setup. Look at an RFP. I have a sample RFP. I'll give it to you. That can be shared too.
So I'm so sorry, we won't be able to take any more questions because the next speaker is already here and we have to leave on time to really reach Vaga. So otherwise you will not have time to catch up on lunch and things like that. So we would have Kirti around.
I will be there around
so
on
please,
dinner as well.
take questions.
Feel free. And you never know, I might find somebody as a future member in my team as well.
So you can provide.
Thank you so much. Thanks for patient listening.
Thank you, Professor Kirti.
You can take center stage.
We are truly honored to hear from such an expert like you. I would request Professor Vartika to kindly present a memento to Professor Kirti. Thank you, ma'am.
Well, good afternoon now, friends. Sorry, I am not giving you time for you. Yesterday you had my introduction, so there's no point going through that again. I also realize that there's very few of you, and but what I'll do is, I promise you one thing. If you are serious and you are attending this session, by the end of the session, all of you would be really wealthy in terms of what I'm going to share with you. So I'll try to give you value from what I'm speaking now. Hello, is it working? Hello, fine. Right then, friends, good afternoon again. And I'll begin my presentation right away, just to save on time. And because I have to finish by 1, otherwise you'll be late for the Wagah border. So I'll just keep my timeline here close to me. A question we would always ask ourselves: can you foresee tomorrow? Is it really possible to see what is going to happen tomorrow? And this is something which is so much of interest to us that often we go to astrologers, often we, in a Sunday magazine or in newspapers, we see today for you, this week for you. Everybody is extremely excited and always interested to know what is going to happen in future. Since childhood, I have been extremely interested. And I would always ask myself, is it actually possible to foresee tomorrow? Later in life, I realized that yes, it is possible to foresee tomorrow. For example, all of you know that today at 7 p.m. it will be dark outside. It will be night. And tomorrow at 8 a.m. again it will be daytime. You know very well that 3 months from now in April it will be hot and summers. And then December next year again it will be winters. So it is possible to foresee tomorrow. Which actually means that based upon the information one has and how you relate your experiences to that information, you gain a certain level of wisdom. You create a level of wisdom. And that is what helps you foresee some things in future. After all, there are people who predict election results, stock markets, gold prices, oil prices, so many things that happen in the market. Point is that each one of us has the ability to foresee tomorrow. All it depends is how much efforts we put in gaining more and more information, more and more statistics from around, and convert that into a level of wisdom to foresee a longer period, a sharper domain. It's a world of very, very fast changing world, especially in the world of business. And two things have already changed this world forever: globalization and technology. Globalization means that geography today is history. So there's no borderline. And technology has ensured depth of distance. So everything is happening at the real time. If you're recording me on camera and if you link this to a Facebook or Instagram or YouTube and live, so at the same time, irrespective of distance, anyone can listen to this talk at the same time. These are the greatest things that have actually changed the world of business over the last 3 decades. Let me take you a bit further away, a few million years away. In fact, 66 million years back, I want to take you to. That was the time when dinosaurs were the strongest species on Earth. They were so tall that they could peep into a building 9-story tall. They were so strong that they could live for almost 300 years. The average lifespan of a dinosaur. Invincible, unconquerable. No one could beat dinosaur. They were so strong. And then, as we understand from the theory of Big Bang, there was one asteroid that struck our planet Earth. And the impact of this asteroid hitting our planet was so big that it created a dust storm and a huge crater. And this dust storm engulfed our planet for next 10 years. And so dense was this dust storm that sunlight could not reach the Earth, our planet. And in these 10 years, when the sunlight did not reach Earth, it was the years of darkness, and it was the time when dinosaur became extinct. This is what we today call the Ice Age. When, because there was no sunlight, the entire Earth turned cold. And the dinosaur, which was the strongest species on Earth at that time, became extinct. This is the impact of one asteroid hitting our planet and making the strongest become extinct. And thereafter, the new species, the new world of mammals, they came. And we all belong to the most advanced species of the mammals. Friends, it is exactly the Earth needs just one asteroid to make the strongest species become extinct and bring home an emergence of entirely new world of mammals. This is exactly what is happening today to the world of business. When a new asteroid today has hit the world of business, and this asteroid is making even the strongest companies, the biggest companies, become extinct like dinosaurs. And this asteroid, friends, is the exponentially growing technologies, or what you call innovation, disruptive innovation. The history is, in fact, repeating itself. Let me show you some pictures. And there's one thing in common. And we all notice that there is one smartphone that is common to everyone. In this picture, actually, I see a technology that is 1,000 times more powerful, 1,000,000 times cheaper, and therefore 1,000,000,000 times more users than the supercomputers of 1970s. This is the exponential technology that has ensured that many of the strongest industries and companies in the world become extinct. You don't need those things anymore. Those things, those gadgets. In fact, you don't need a watch. You don't need a computer. You don't need a video game. You don't need so many other recordings, songs. You don't need hundreds, thousands of gadgets just because of the smartphone that you're carrying in your hand. In fact, someone recently compiled a data saying that if you were to buy every gadget individually that you carry in your smartphone, you would need today 5.4 crore rupees to buy all those video games and all those things that today you carry just in one smartphone. Now just imagine how many hundreds or thousands of industries would have become extinct. Where is that Sony Walkman? Where are hundreds and thousands of more things that you and I used to carry with ourselves? The cameras, the video cameras, so many things, just because of a gadget that we carry with ourselves. Friends, this is the world of exponential entrepreneur, who's using exponentially growing technologies. What is the difference? What is an exponential growth? If I take 30 steps, and if each step is of 1 meter, I walk 30 meters. Convert it to exponential growth. If I take first step of 1 meter, then 2, then 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. Can you measure how much distance I would have traveled in my 30th step? Any guesses? 13.5 times the entire circumference of the earth. This is what an exponential growth is. I'm telling you, and one thing I tell every entrepreneur: don't be fearful of anything. The best of the times are ours. But if you really want to fear something, then always fear a technology that is growing exponentially. Because that would create and cause disruption. The story of Kodak, we all know, a company that had 90% of the world's share, 150,000 employees working, invincible. You could not conquer, you could not click a picture without using a Kodak film, period. But then, in the laboratory of Kodak, 2 young men, they invented what today we call a digital camera. The first time when they unveiled that digital camera in 1972 in a conference in Kodak, it took 20 minutes to click one black and white picture because the camera was 0.1 megapixel. Everybody saw, clapped, and then say, oh great, so you can now click a picture without a Kodak film. But then it was not a threat, and then they all walked away. The world started utilizing that, and the technology grew exponentially. So from 0.1, it became 0.2, 0.4, 0.8, 1.6, and so on. And by the time Kodak realized and woke up, the world did not need a Kodak film again. And the company filed for bankruptcy in January 2012. So the world's largest, invincible, unconquerable company closed down because of one technology that started growing exponentially. This is what is happening to the world. Disruptive innovation. These are the innovations that are changing the entire scope. And we were listening yesterday to the keynote speaker as well, when cars replaced horse carts, when cassette replaced a gramophone, when a CD replaced the cassette, when MP3 players replaced CDs and DVDs, when the world's largest DVD manufacturing company, Moser-Beer, had to close their sales in this arena and do something else. This is what is disruption. And today you don't even need MP3 players. Because you can download a song, you can listen to a song on Savan.com or Ghana.com, you can listen to a song on YouTube, wherever. So you don't even need these CDs and DVDs anymore. Same happened to the world of cabs, when Olas and Ubers, they revolutionized the way you would hire and engage cabs. In fact, let me just tell you the process of disruptive innovation. The first step always is digitalization. And what is digitalization? It actually means that you create something lesser, placeless, timeless, sizeless, ageless, resourceless, structureless, anything lesser. That is the first step, digitalization. And after digitalization starts the time when it is, we all call deception. When no one knows the size or the speed with which that technology will grow. Kodak didn't realize. Our technology was there, 0.1 megapixel. It became 0.2, it became 0.4, then 0.8. It was the phase of deception. When the technology is there, and when the world is not realizing what impact it would have on them. And then, suddenly it would gain a critical mass and create a disruption. This is where the world wakes up. They find companies filing for bankruptcies. And after this, a very unique thing happens. And that is called demonetization. When you start getting things free, what you were paying for till yesterday. Till yesterday you were paying for an envelope, a stamp, and only then you could post a postcard. Today, email is free. As simple as that. You go to Starbucks, Wi-Fi is free. So you start getting free what you were paying for heavily yesterday. This is demonetization. And this demonetization causes democratization. Now that it's free, the whole world can use it. Jio democratized the entire world of telephony and internet. When it is accessible by large number of people, not just for the privileged few. And then comes the final stage, which is called dematerialization. When you realize that the world does not need the product anymore. So Kodak film now is dematerialized. Cassettes, CDs, DVD players, dematerialized. You don't need those anymore. Hundreds, thousands of such companies have closed down. Dematerialization. This is the impact of exponentially growing technology. So if you can go back in time, 10, 20, 30 years, hundreds of things that we saw in our lifetime. In fact, a Sony Walkman was my dream, which was fulfilled in my college days. In fact, in my post-graduation days, when the first time I got a Sony Walkman. Today, who carries that dream anymore? A phone is downloading every song, every film there available in the world. And friends, let's just see how many things you can guess will be dematerialized few years from Any ideas? Any guesses? So that if you are in that business, it is time to look somewhere else. I mean, if you ask me, let us say one thing, of course, is the checkbook. You know, we are transferring monies through UPIs and Paytms. You don't need credit cards also anymore. Then, of course, I realize that you don't need passwords. You know, your retina, you just have to look into a phone and the phone would open up. So increasingly now, these are the things, these are technologies that are totally changing. Likewise, who needs documents anymore? Libraries. In fact, I'm on the board of a few colleges and universities, on the quality councils and others, and often they ask for budget for libraries. And traditionally, of course, we sanction them budgets for our libraries. But nowadays, I ask them a question, do students actually come to the library? Or are they reading books on their phones and on the Kindle or elsewhere? Do you really need hard paper books in the libraries anymore? I mean, IIM would be able to offer to answer this question much, much more. And so all of these things, paper agreements, stamp papers, registry documents, everything digitalized. And then something, let's say, as small as a book, as I mentioned. And what about your pen? When was the last time you used your pen? I don't remember. I'm texting my messages, I'm typing my emails, I'm online, I'm not even signing my checkbooks, a rare thing which sometimes we used to do. Everything is digitalized. All my IT returns, TDS returns, tax returns are getting online. When was the last time I used a pen? In fact, I forgot to carry normally a pen which is more of a decorative thing which I use on my coat. That's it. When was the last time I wore a watch? Because my phone carries such a beautiful digital watch. When was the last time I carried a separate camera? So a lot of these things I realize that these are getting away from the market. And pen, as I just mentioned. And this brings me to a very interesting question. Now that so many industries are closing down, so many industries, traditionally strong industries, Luxor and Camlin pens and things may close down in times to come. Perhaps except for a young child like this going to a nursery school, learning to write A, B, C, etc. But who knows? Maybe 10 years from now, even they read straight from a laptop or a tablet, and they will just learn to identify this is A, and they just learn to type A. Why do they have to write A anymore? So maybe 10 to 15 years from now, no more writing and handwriting thing. It will be about speed. In my school days, we were taught about good handwriting, a 4-line English, especially the English page where you would match some of those things so that one gets a good hand. Maybe next time in class 1, 2, they are taught how to type very fast, how to text very fast, how just to tell the Google what they want and Google would type on their own, how just to translate anything from here to there through the use of technology. In fact, I always say, बचपन में हम सुनते थे, you comfortable with some Hindi also? बचपन में हम लोग सुनते थे कि भगवान हर जगह है, भगवान सब कुछ जानता है, भगवान को सब पता है, आप भगवान से कुछ नहीं छुपा सकते। अब मुझे लगता है जरूर गूगल के बारे में बात हुई। गूगल को सब पता है, गूगल हर जगह है। गूगल को ये भी पता है कि मैंने अमृतसर में आने के बाद मैं कहाँ गया, because Google Map is tracking me. Technology platform is tracking anything and everything that you're doing in the world. So it's a world where we are driven by a different thing. And therefore my question is, what is the easiest way to become a billionaire? Because of paucity of time, allow me to answer it myself. I believe the best way to become a billionaire is to create a solution, find a solution for which 1 billion people are ready to pay just 1 rupee. कुछ ऐसा करो कि 1 billion लोग आपको सिर्फ 1 रुपया दें. This is what whether it is Zomato or Swiggy or just anything, create a solution that you can upscale to 1 billion. And that is why all these unicorns. I'm sure you know the story about Instagram, but in just 2 lines, 2 young boys, they started Instagram in 2010-11. And the idea was, if you click a picture, and if the world doesn't see, what is the fun? In my days, when I got married, and there is a marriage album, तो उस album के कई दिन तक मेहमान को घर बुलाते थे. We invited guests over to our homes, and just to show them the marriage albums. Today, while I'm talking to you, just click a picture, put it on Instagram, the whole world within milliseconds knows that, okay, this is here. So instant sharing. So with this thought, they created Instagram. And these 2 young boys created a small team and launched it. In January 2012, Kodak filed for bankruptcy. In the same month, January 2012, Instagram application was launched. In one day, there were about 5 million downloads. The valuation of Instagram touched $500 million. On 1st of April 2012, the same year, Facebook purchased Instagram from these 2 young boys and paid $1 billion. That is almost 8,500 crore rupees to these 2 young boys. It was 18 months since the launch of Instagram. And do you know how many people were working in Instagram at that time? 13. So 13 youngsters creating a value of 8,500 crore in 18 months. Now just go out to Amritsar, see all the MSMEs and small industries that are here, put them all together for so many years, do their valuation. I wonder if you will touch 85. This is the new era of business. And therefore, definitely you need an entirely new skill set. This is what is going to happen for electric vehicles as well. In the world of EVs that we are talking about today, yesterday I told you, in a moving car, in an IC engine car, there are almost 2,000 moving parts. Fuel pumps, oil pumps, engine, fuel tank, a lot of things. In an electric vehicle, there are 18 moving parts. So 1,992 types of components presently used in IC engines will not be required in EVs. These many industries are going to close down. And this brings us to 2 more things today that matter. After globalization and technology, these 2 words are sustainability and scalability. One, of course, is sustainability. If anything can actually negatively impact your businesses, if it's not sustainable. In Delhi, they've already banned crackers. In Delhi, they've already banned furnaces that run that oil. In Delhi, they've already banned diesel generator sets. On 1st of July 2022, India already banned single-use plastic. Imagine hundreds, thousands of those industries have already closed down. And because India is now committed to achieve zero net balance by 2070, many more laws you will see in times to come. Let this election pass this year. And then you will find that India will take many more proactive measures to maintain or to make its industries become sustainable. It's going to have a huge impact. And therefore, it's extremely important to be sustainable. And then, of course, is scalability. Any business that wishes to be tomorrow must be scalable. scalable. Gone is the era of a small-time Kiryana shop next door. Today, Blinkit drops it to my residence much faster than anywhere. Yesterday only, late night, so I don't know why, but somehow, when I was in the market, I came back, I saw Gyani's ice cream. And when I came back, it was around 11:30. And I just asked, my colleague, we missed out on Gyani's ice cream. How I wish we could, have some. And there, immediately, he ordered on Blinkit, and it was delivered right in this hotel at almost within 17 minutes of wishing. So this is what is changing the world. So scalability is extremely important. And therefore, fourth questions, are you global? Are you using technology? Are you focusing on sustainability? Do you focus on scaling up? These are the four fundamental questions you should be asking to any MSME as you would be handholding them in future. Now let me talk to you about the new opportunities, because I just presented a very scary picture on how so many industries are going to shut down. But let me tell you where the new opportunities are, especially in the world of MSMEs. Opportunities for very, very high growth. One, of course, is health and fitness. And in fact, I can go on and on in this area. And hundreds and thousands of industries today are coming in this arena. Agriculture and food processing. The future of mobility, the e-bicycles, the e-rickshaws, the sustainable mobility, the energy efficient products and green technology. Who wants to buy a tube light anymore? You want an LED. Who wants to buy an ordinary chair anymore? You want a recliner and you want a smart chair that, according to your weight, takes its own size and shape. The cars carry these technologies. Similarly, the infrastructure, homes, construction, everywhere newer technologies are coming and taking place. And then the women part, the products for women. A gender that has been so deprived of or always suppressed for their own requirements. This is the era of emerging women power. And therefore, increasingly, women are spending money on themselves, on how they look, what they wear, and why not? Deservingly so. On their nutrition requirements, on their personal requirements, their hygiene requirements. This is the era. And therefore, do anything that caters to the world of women. The chances of scalability are much faster and much more. Similarly, millennials. Who decides which phone I'll buy today? Who decides which car I'll buy today? My kids. Millennials. So what is of attraction to them? They are the ones who are deciding your purchase decisions. And that is where is extremely important. And any product with high-end products and smart features, this is what the world is always looking at. Likewise, e-commerce, servicing, skilling, and skilling also through new ways and means. This is where the world today is and all the opportunities are. Similarly, defense production, an area where India has huge requirements. India, incidentally, is the world's largest purchaser of arms and ammunition. And therefore, we need to produce all of that within India. And defense, therefore, is a very major sector for Make in India movement. Similarly, fintech, data analysis, artificial intelligence. These are the domains where more and more businesses, more and more opportunities are arising. And this is where the world is going to. Now the point is, what is the roadmap? How you avail of these opportunities? If I am an existing MSME, or if you are a startup, how do you avail of these opportunities? And this is very important that I am going to address now in this section of my presentation. How to make the best out of these opportunities. You have to learn and unlearn a few things. that you have to learn is that things will never be the same again. If someone is wishing कि फिर से पहले जैसा वक्त आएगा, नहीं आएगा. Things will never be the same again. And second thing that you must remember is that future requires two new things. One is new skills, new technologies. And second, very important, is innovation. These are the driving factors for future business opportunities. In my school days, in your school days, we all learned the Darwin's law. Survival of the fittest. Friends, to me, it does not apply anymore. Today, it is survival of the nimble. How fast one can change. That is very important. So fittest is the one who can change very, very fast, including the politicians. So that is survival of the nimble. And therefore it is time for the entire world to change. And especially for universities and academia also. In fact, I see a totally new role for universities and academia. And the question that I asked yesterday also, and I'm going to answer that today, is can today's youth achieve in 5 years what took us 30? And the answer is yes. And how? I mean, a question I'll ask to IIM is, and the senior people here, can you do complete handholding of MSMEs? How to execute this new role? Let's take a quick glimpse. I asked you yesterday whether doing business was art or science. If doing business is art, I'm a mystery. I'm an auto component manufacturer. I supply 10,000 products. 2 are rejected. I am paid only for 9,998 and heavily penalized for 240 pieces going to the market. I supply you a fan. There is a warranty of 7 years. Anything goes wrong over the next 7 years also, you have the right to replace or go to the court of law. Has any cinema manufacturer, filmmaker also refunded you ticket because you did not like the movie? Ever? Has any school or college refunded you your fee just because you did not fare well? But from me you demand 7 years warranty. Even from a shoemaker you say 6 months warranty. So it's a world where people want guaranteed returns. So it cannot be the world of art for me. But then if it is science, every time 2 plus 2 should be 4. Why is it that one business succeeds, the other does not? And therefore, I quickly come to you, the science of growth. To me, running an MSME is science. The way we have acupressure points in our body, where we work upon and it will help us, we have 10 acupressure points in business. I'll close in 6 minutes. Yeah. And these, because the time is less, so we wrote this document, Growth Acceleration Program for Small Businesses. And in fact, I invite your professors or someone who would like to do more research on this and publish a paper on this kind of scientific growth roadmap for MSMEs that we would love to offer this opportunity. The first, of course, is quality, as I mentioned yesterday also in QCD. The second is cost, that will come only from productivity. Third is, I'm skipping some of these things because of the shortage of time. Third is innovation, because it is where you add value. Fourth is brand building and knowledge management, the copyrights and the patents and the trademark. Very, very important for SMEs to understand. Fifth is scalability, and for that, the marketing strategies, the use of new technologies, the use of e-commerce platform to export globally, grow globally. And sixth is financial literacy. one should understand where a collateral-free loan is available, how an SME IPO can support, what strength a balance sheet should be. Seventh is team building. You need new skills for your teams. And this is a very important factor where I say always hire people smarter than you are, because skill is the new currency for success. And eighth is cluster approach. Yesterday there was a question as well. What you cannot do alone, do in a group, do in a cluster. Ninth is risk management. And in this, the personal risk management, succession planning, and sustainability. These are the new age risks where I realize. These are some things where I'm skipping, but these are the scope and work opportunities for different professors in their domains and areas where they can collaborate with SMEs, write their projects, do their research work, etc., etc. And in fact, we launched a mission, 2 missions. Mission 5X, support SMEs become 5 times in 2 years. And we've been extremely successful using this roadmap. And second is Mission 100 Plus, where we are supporting 100 SMEs touch 100 crore turnover now. And this is because of the guided roadmap that we've created. I mentioned to you about the various risks that are happening, risk management. And 10th and last, of course, is that one has to keep learning. There would be newer things coming tomorrow. I may have mentioned a few today, but one has to remain integrated with universities, with programs like this, with conferences like this, so that one keeps abreast of where the world is coming. I'm skipping a lot of things, but ultimately all I have to say is it's all about your passion. It's all about the opportunities that you see around. There was a Murphy's Law in my days, and it said, if it can go wrong, it will. But to me, as an entrepreneur, this law does not apply anymore. Today, if anything can go wrong, fix it. To hell with Murphy. That is the world of today's Indian entrepreneur. With these words, I thank you all for very good. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was a really insightful session. Now I would request Professor Pinaki to kindly present Mr. Rajiv Chawla with a token of gratitude.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let's give them a few rounds of applause.
Thank you, please.
As we embark on an industry-focused session, it is my great honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Mr. D.C. Sekhar, the Managing Director of Alphamers. In the recently concluded IIM MSME Awards of 2023, which celebrated Indian MSMEs for their groundbreaking innovations introduced within the realms of services, products or manufacturing sector, acknowledging this disruptive contributions to industry advancement, Alphamers Limited has been the winner of India's Top Innovative MSME Award in the micro category. Today Mr. Sekhar will be guiding us through a crucial exploration of MSMEs, transformative pathways and sustainability. Mr. Sekhar is an ex-merchant Navy captain of large sea-going oil tankers. He has studied finance management in Singapore and executive general management at IIM Bangalore. He has spearheaded innovations and technological development in the company. I would now request Mr. D.C. Sekhar to take over the stage.
Thank you very much. to all of you. Hello, testing. Good morning to all of you. Okay, thanks. That's very encouraging. The little lady said good morning back. Okay. How many of you are students actually? I don't think any of you are students. You're a student, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand the audience. I was a merchant navy captain earlier, sailing on large tankers. And at some point of time, we got into innovation. And the story is all about an innovation-centric company. When I was coming to IIM Amritsar, it was very interesting. I have done executive management in Bangalore, IIM Bangalore, 1.5 decades ago. And whole week I used to deal with my own problems. The cash flows and the HR and all those things are my own business. And on Sunday, I used to go to IIM, very relaxed, sitting in a classroom environment and discussing case studies. Then I realized, whole week I'm dealing with my own problem and it kind of gets me worked up. But Sundays are very relaxed because I'm dealing with somebody else's problem. And it's like a chessboard where you're dealing with somebody else's problem. You are so objective, so clinical, so clear in your thinking. But when you're dealing with your own problem, you get stressed up. The focus goes, the emotional connect complicates things. So we have been a company which innovates solutions and everything else comes around that. We have been cleaning rivers. We have developed a technology to clean rivers. It's deployed in 9 cities. Today it's considered by international media as one among 3 successful solutions of the world. Yesterday I was in Goa. We have signed up an MOU with the government of Goa to deploy our solutions in the entire state of Goa. So that will make it the largest river cleanup solution in the world. And mind you, you know I'm an MSME. What I'm getting at is the power of the idea, the power of the mind more than the resources. So in 2 years we'll complete, and Goa will have the distinction of being one of those states where the entire coastline, no plastic, no trash goes into the sea. This is a 2-minute clip. This technology is designed entirely in India. Hydrodynamical, it's a very stable design. That's why some of the largest installations are done in India with this technology. A very simple thought. The water goes past and only the trash is stopped. In flowing water, there's something called drag force. We minimize that. And the companies, big companies overseas, they have missed that fine point of reducing the drag forces. So what they have designed had to be redone after spending millions of dollars. It's my personal belief that innovation is an individual sport, it's not a team event, it's not a team sport. Many of you may not agree, but the reason I say that is, in innovation, there are multiple variables that you're dealing with and everything impacts the other. Very interdependent variables. So the way one mind can visualize those various points, the various vectors, a group of people, their minds cannot network enough to look at the same picture simultaneously. The cause and effect of that. This has been written about by the NGT bench of Supreme Court in the judgments, by CNBC, by Associated Press around the world, saying it's one of the successful solutions. And they stopped 22,000 tons of trash in Coorg River in Chennai in 1 year.
That is, once again, we are still in MSME. What that means is the power of the mind is bigger than the resources. All the installations are visible on Google Earth. You go on Google Earth, you can see the live, you can see live all these images. Okay, to cut time, I will just stop this, pause this video and go to the next slide. For a cost benchmark of $1 million per location, we do it for $30,000 a location. Can you see the cost difference? It's simple common sense logic to the whole thing. So now they have stopped it. After doing in 8 locations, they stopped putting a board and they simply put a barrier across. Now, assembly. We've got SOCHAM award for 4 years at a time, and we got a few awards for these things. Now, this is to harness energy from the ocean waves. This is being tested at IIT Madras indoor wave pool. What you're seeing is the surface floats, and down below in the seabed, you have the seabed unit that's converting this to useful energy. Now what happens is, you have on the surface, you have the waves. We all know the waves have a tremendous energy. That's a good starting point. If I don't do it, I'm sure the next generation will generate the power, or the next generation will find how to. The energy is there. That we are all sure as of today. How do you do it? I mean, a human mind can visualize various ways. If you go to the internet, there may be about 100 different designs. Most of them are not prototype. This may be one of the dozen prototype designs of the world. One of the simple ways that a human mind can think, that I can think about, is use it like a wrench. Every time the float goes up, it is turning a shaft like a wrench. It goes one way, other way it comes down like a cycle freewheel. It comes down, and again next road it lifts up. So this was designed on that principle, and this was designed as a 5 kilowatt unit only. Tested, happy, but it has got a seabed unit. To put a seabed unit, you need to find a floating crane. We said, okay, we want to make it even more economical. When I say economical and uneconomical, I'm telling by my own standards. People spend millions of dollars and they run into liquidation. I know that. But when I make something, I'm thinking of the customer. What is going to be ready to pay? How much will it work over here? I'm connecting all the dots right from day one. So I say, okay, why should you require a floating crane? Let's make it much cheaper. I'm talking instead of millions of dollars, I'm talking saving some lakhs. Entire floating model of that, we have designed that. Then we went on to design a wave-powered boat. Now the wave-powered boat, as of now, it doesn't exist in the world. We have designed one. We are in touch with DRDO. They are very interested in the design. We should be making that soon. So if you see all these designs on the net, you will find 2 ways. One is either it is like a wrench, it is turning a shaft, rotating a shaft, or it is pumping a fluid. One of the 2. All the designs you can fall within these 2 categories. How you take a non-harmonic random motion and make it useful energy. This is my belief. I don't know how many of you would agree to that. I don't know, as a business school, perhaps you tell them how to grow big. It's perfectly fine. It needs all kind of people to make this world. Our personal belief was that don't feel the pressure of trying to become a unicorn. You don't need to be that. Don't have to reach the funding stage. We have been profit making last 15 years. So we are not burning the candle and finishing it in a little bit of time. We can go on and on. Be a confident player, solve problems and provide value. When you say provide value, there is a proverb in Hindi, Ghoda aur ghaas ka dosti nahi hota hai. What that means is, the paying client will tell you on your face whether you're good or not. Media might praise you, your family will praise you, but the paying client will tell you on your face, look, what you have done is good or it's not good. And if he says you're good, nothing can stop you. So you have to provide value to him. This is the representative image of the wave-powered boat. Now, when you're sitting on a roller coaster, you're going up and down. Your stomach is moving a little independently of your body. Your stomach goes up, then the body goes up, then the stomach goes up. Body goes up, then the stomach follows it. There's a phase lag. Now, we designed a boat on that principle, saying that an outer and an inner hull, as this goes up and down, this inner hull goes up and down, they're loosely connected, and in between you're using the change in the annular space to pump fluid. It's a very complicated engineering, but the basic principle is fairly simple to understand. So as this is going in any direction, we are continuously pumping fluid into a reservoir, and that we are using it for propulsion. So boat like that, remote controlled, not autonomous, it can go and be in the open sea in the waves for a very long period. So it's a small boat with an extraordinary cruising range for surveillance and so many purposes. That comes in very useful. When it comes to the power of thinking, an MSME is equal to any MNC. Sometimes I feel we are better because it's not a team, it is individuals who are thinking about it. And you're thinking through. My maximum productivity, I believe, happens before I get up from my bed. As I'm imagining the design. The human body is one of the best designed objects in the world. Driverless car, we may have made robots, I'll show you a quick video about that. We believe robots should be there to save human life, combat situation, mind sweeping, precision surgery, all those things we should have robots. To take a driver out of a job can wait, there's no hurry. Driverless cars is not in a hurry. When you make a robot that can also pick up the vegetable and get to my 10th floor apartment, I will say, okay, your technology is just comparable to an average ordinary human being. So what is our priorities? We have to get it right. This is a robot we made. As usual, our competition is from Northern Europe. They made some robots. Except that they don't have a benchmark, they don't try hard, they don't give a very good product. But it's always very well engineered. Let us, as business school, I don't need to tell you this, but let's differentiate between something that solves a problem and something that is well engineered and well made. The biggest USP is that each of these tanks have got heating coils inside the petroleum industry. And those pipes that you see, this has to pass underneath. If it cannot pass underneath, it cannot go into 80% of the tanks. And the robot made in Europe could not go underneath this because they made it big. So that was one very big USP. There's one more USP in this is, it has got a pump on the robot. These are things that we planned right from day one in our design. I have supervised cleaning of tanks myself. I know exactly what is required. And I have made up a plan that in 1993, that I am going to make a robot one day, unless somebody else makes it. And after almost 30 years, I have made it because Oil India came and said, okay, you want to make a robot, here is seed funding from me. Let's go ahead and make it. Nobody else had made it all these decades. So this stands out today as the best product in the world for this solution, because one thing is goes under the heating coils where the other ones don't. Second thing, it has got a pump inside. In spite of that, is made a very low size. What happens when you have a pump? The ones made in Europe are sucking it out from outside the tank. Have you ever tried eating ice cream by sucking through a straw? Not easy. Because between atmospheric pressure and vacuum, you have only one bar to play with. Only 1 kg difference between atmospheric pressure and vacuum. You can create vacuum. How much more vacuum can you create? Once you created vacuum, there's vacuum. So you have 1 kg difference. It is principally, it doesn't stand to common sense. You may spend millions making it, you may spend millions in advertising it, but still it's a poorly, conceptual design is poor, the workmanship may be excellent. So we made a pump, and the pump is pushing it out. You can make 4 kg, 5 kg, 10 kg, any amount of pressure. And I like the competition from Europe primarily because whether the product solves a problem or not, they charge it very high. The prices are very high. So I look good. The benchmark cost, let them keep it high, I will give a better product, and I don't have to argue too much about the price line. So these are, though we are not a very ambitious company in terms of top lines, in terms of growth, we are very hungry for solving problems. The rest of the oil industry in India is in touch with us. They are waiting for us to complete our safety assessment. And then we should be solving. They are coming to us with other robotic problems, which we know we can solve it because that is easier than the first one that we solved. That is Economic Times. They give us an award. This is an oil spill response. When you have an oil spill in the sea, first job is to contain it. And then after that, floating skimmers will pick it up. That's been the time-tested way it has been done. And you cannot move that at a certain speed. There are technical reasons for that. So how fast you inflate that boom, it's called, that's what matters. So this is the latest generation. Few other people in the world have done that. How you inflate it from one end and 200 meters of that gets inflated. So we made a very stable design of that. Everything 100% in India. I always believe this is not rocket science, and if it is rocket science, we have ISRO to take inspiration from. Now this is a next generation of the same thing, because when you're moving it, you can't skim in a conventional system. So this is the latest integrated system that we have made that is currently sold few pieces. We don't really bother selling, the calls come themselves. People find out when they want something, they know you're the guy making it, they contact you. But you pick up the products, that's high value. That's most tempting for us. We know we can solve any problem. I might sound very cocky standing here and saying that, but I truly believe that the human intelligence is very equitably distributed around the world, better than mineral and oil. We all have it with us. We are good at solving problems. What we pick to solve the problem, we like to pick up high value items. It makes our life easier. Do not limit yourself by what others can imagine. This is not my sentence. I forget who has said this, but my disclaimer, I have not said this, but I believe that's right. Now, why this half moon photograph? At night sky, any of you can tell me how you can get a sense of direction when you look at the sky?
Stars. Pole star. Stars.
Pole star.
Stars.
Pole star, right? Okay, pole star is not a very bright star. Yes, it's always there. In the southern hemisphere, you cannot see that. But yes, that's what we know, right? Now, you look at the moon. Is the shape of the moon is like this? No, it's a ball. Okay? One side of the moon is lit up by a torch. What is a torch? It's the sun. Right? So the moment you see the moon here, you know where the sun lying. It's there. It cannot be here, it cannot be there. Right? So the crescent of the moon is telling you all the time, where is the sun? You know the sun has gone down there at 8 o'clock in the evening, you know that is west. Or if you see that 5 o'clock in the morning, that is east. Very simple to understand. Right? I have told this to at least 5,000 people. Let me tell you that. Not one person has told me he has read it anywhere. It's not written. My office, I do get my own people, my own team telling me, sir, if it's so easy, somebody would have done it already. I tell them this example. It's so, even on the ship, the navigators, they don't know that the moon is telling you the direction all the time. We just miss it. It's so easy to understand. We are just missing it. This is to clean lakes. See, one of the things that we do, I'll come to that. Okay, this is one single operator operating both the crafts, and you are sweeping the hyacinth, the weed to one side. You take sometimes up to 10-meter wide patch. In one shot, you take it across and take it to another place where it's being lifted up. You're not lifting and putting on the boat, please note. Boat is very small. It's got only 30 centimeters depth. So it can go to the edge of the lake, sweep everything, bring it to where you're removing it. One of the reasons why we did invent so many things, very ironically, is We deal with the government sector. So in government sector, the cash flow cycles are long. Nobody is against you, but the cash flow cycles are long. And if the cash flow cycle is long, I mean you're in the business school, you know, it is not only the working capital cost that matters. Working capital cost is one part of it. As a person who is developing monopoly technologies, I don't have to worry about the price and I can factor in the working capital cost. It's not a big deal. But everybody, including I'm sure Ambani's also, they have a finite capital at their disposal, a finite bank facility. And if one client is sitting on it for 8 months, you can't do 5x turnover. Your capital turnover ratio is very small. And that kills your business momentum. It forces you to take out all your fixed costs out of that one transaction. And what do you do with the team? You're delivered, you're waiting for so many months, you have a team sitting there hungry to do. So we started developing technologies, and then somewhere along the line, if they paid us on time, we wouldn't have developed so many technologies. Would I have been worried about the top line? Yeah, these are some of my beliefs. How much time do we have now? What is it? Correct. Is it Mulpati? 5 minutes? Okay. Innovation. How do we see this? You are sitting on the zero of an x-axis, just imagine. On the plus side of the x-axis are things, it's the uninhibited imagination, as they call it. A 10-year-old kid who is a daydreamer can imagine so many things. On the minus side, you imagine all your reference points of the mind. Things like what you have read in school, what you have studied in your the magazines that you have read, the movies that you have seen, what your friends have told you, everything you know about it. That's on the minus side. An innovator is a person, a good innovator is a person who can flip between this side and that side again and again. You have not lost your appetite for imagination, but same time you have good resources, the reference points inside your mind, so that you can go back and see whether it's practical. I do that all the time. There's a lot of innovation that gets hyped up by the media. Many of them are deserving, many of them are not. The media are not the experts whether the technology is good. They build it up. But if you go back 2 years back and see what was hyped up as going to change the world, how many of them are surviving, you will know. Innovator, do we ask an accountant, can you please come and fix this engine? No. But if you go with an innovation to any government scheme, they will tell you become an entrepreneur. You do it yourself, you market it yourself, you do everything. Which is putting a stress on an innovator. He should go back to innovation, and you should have a system where you're able to monetize your ideas. Somebody else takes over saying that, look, I can think money. When I close my eyes, I think money. You think technology, I think money. I can do a better job of selling this. I will take over from there. Jugaad is a very, very unkind word. I am very much against this word because it is saying that a man who has taken a Maruti engine and made a Maruta, he has got some capabilities. He has got an ability to think, he has got an ability to make something work. We don't give him money, and for a cup of coffee with a very nice smile, we'll say, oh, it's a jugaad. No, it's a very unkind word. Any other country, they would be given money, you'll come back with a card saying that I'm a technology developer. So my humble request is, let us, because a lot of good things have been trivialized. In this part of the world saying it's jugaad. It's not. There's a person with the capability. I will not go into many details now because time is much. What happens when you are in this business of innovating? You're going to somebody, you're going to explain the product to him, and there has to be, interest is always there, but demand is also there, but they think differently. Each person thinks according to where he's sitting. So you may not get your sales everywhere. People always tell me, Indian quality. I said, wait a minute, what are you talking about quality? When you give me a technical product, every aspect of this is defined. Every aspect of this can be checked. Every aspect of this can be proved. You're not talking about the quality, you're talking about the brand value. when you import something from Europe, they have built a country brand value for decades. I respect them for that. But today I can give the same quality, right now. Only my brand value has to be built up, it will take decades. Quality, we have a very interesting definition in our own office. I'm sure management skill, I don't have to tell you about the definition of quality, but my definition of quality in my office, my team knows that, is that consistent and systematic delivery on the implied and explicit promises. Darshini Hotel, that is the most budget hotel in Bangalore, he can give very good quality because the implied promises, you get food fast, it will be tasty, cost is not much. This is his implied promise. Air Deccan is an excellent airline if he flies you on time. His promise is not luxury, that is positioning. And why I say implied and explicit promise? Earlier in the timetable, in the back of the timetable, you used to have those sketches saying that this hotel such and such, running hot and cold water, it used to be written. Because the positioning did not tell you whether it has got running hot or cold water, it has to specify. Does this hotel say running hot and cold water? It doesn't, because there's an implied promise for a hotel of this positioning. So positioning is different. You can give excellent quality, running a very, very budget restaurant, but the promise that a person has is that I will come, I will not get a seat, there won't be tablecloth, I will stand and eat, but the food is tasty, it's cheap, and he has his own formal or informal system to deliver on that consistently. Okay, I think I've come to the end of this. This domestic versus imports, why I put on that very interesting, is that public procurement system measures you by the metrics of financial figures. So when the government says they want to import something for 5 crores, 500 meters of a particular boom they want to import for 5 crores, they say. So all the qualification criteria is as per the 5 crores, 500 meters of that. And ironically, I was arguing with them that I have supplied 1,500 meters of that material for 2.25 crores. You should qualify me. But this is only, you have not done 5 crores. You understand where I am coming from. The financial metric only says how greedy I have been. It doesn't say what is your capability today. I had supplied, they wanted 500 meters of a product for 5 crores, and I said I supplied 1,500 meters of the same product for 2.25 crores. Guys, I was not greedy. Does that mean I am any less? You know? So you will find some of the anomalies. Okay, that kind of brings me to the end of this presentation. Anything else you would like to point out or highlight? Ask. Please go ahead. Okay, I think.
Thanks for sharing. You're doing a great work for the nation.
Thank you very much. Two bit I'll tell you is few years back, sitting with friends as usual, maybe having a drink with them, and we all have solutions. Government should do this, he is not doing this, my fellow countryman is not doing that. We know all the answers. But one day I realized when you get up and open the door, the world is saying nothing has changed. We have been dutifully giving constructive criticism, but that hasn't changed the world. So one day I said, okay, let me just zip up, get up and do something. This is more than 10 years ago. And today we have cleaned 3 rivers. We have made, at least in 2 industries, best of class products in the world. And I am an ordinary human being. So you can imagine if so many of us decide to do that, we can change a lot. And we have frustrating times, we have very difficult times when things are not going our way because some people are not conducive to this. When you deal with the government and people, there are always some situations. You need a candle, a lighthouse to keep your sanity. When things go very tough, you have to look at the lighthouse and say, no, I'm doing it for this, go on, it's okay. And that candle says that I am a citizen of India and I am doing it for my country. And the country is 1.5 billion people, my identity, everything. It is not those few people sitting in those seats that constitute the country. Right? You have to have a certain lighthouse, because when it gets choppy seas, you still are able to see the lighthouse and go on and not give up. Thank you very much. It's lovely talking to you.
Thank you, sir. It was a privilege to hear from such a distinguished personality. I would now request Professor Vartika to kindly present memento and conference kit to Mr. Sekhar.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for joining us on day 2 of the ICM 2024. I would request now everyone to kindly go and have your lunch, and then post that we have arranged a Atari Vaga body trip. Kindly enjoy that, and thank you so much for joining us.